and stuff. My people here on Instagram, you guys, yeah, let me know if you can hear me. And yeah, but welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you guys have been okay. I hope that the day has been fabulous and everything. And that the weekend has seen you get some rest and all of that. So yeah. All right. So today we're gonna be speaking about a digitized business versus an online business, right? And I mean, it sounds like one of those weird, random kinds of topics, maybe, because it's one of those things that people potentially don't think about. Hey, let me know if you can hear me clearly, please. Thank you. And for those who are here on YouTube, just let me know. So yeah, online business versus a digitized business. It's one of those things that we don't really speak about. You don't really have that in your consciousness and stuff. You just think of, all right, cool. Once it's on digital, and we'll just get over it, right? But our reality is that I really think it's important for us to get into this discussion, because that actually that foundation, or that way of thinking, is what actually is a foundation for how you build out your business model and how you build out your brand and all of those things, right? So if you don't necessarily know exactly how you want to move forward in terms of digital, based on whether it's going to be a digitized business versus an online business, then right. So let's just jump into that. So first and foremost, I just want to give this plug right here, though. So in terms of the Digital Dominator Loft, right? The reason I created it is because, of course, I completely believe in yeah, the domination of digital by businesses, by creatives, by persons who are ready to show themselves boldly and with courage, to really walk in purpose, right? And so with that said, right, I wanted to create like just a chill spot for all of us to be able to discuss, some of the things that we go through, some of the things that we might not be thinking about, that we should be thinking about in relation to digital and stuff, so that we can definitely move forward with more confidence and boldness and all of that, right? And so yeah, it's gonna be every Sunday night, and yeah, that's why I created it. I want us to be able to chill, move forward together, win together, thrive together, the most, right? And so yeah, so with that said, about today's topic, let's just go ahead and jump in, right? So first and foremost, I want to speak about what a digitized business is, right? First and foremost, a digitized business, I want you to think about a brick and mortar business, right? And when you see me looking back and forth, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, right? So yeah, when you think about a digitized business, right? I want you to recognize that the idea of digitization means that it's a brick and mortar business that has recognized the value, ideally, of social media and digital media on a whole. And on that basis, they want to get digitized. They want to reduce the use of paper and some of the more manual things, or hard copy things, if you will. And based on that, now they want to be able to facilitate more interactions online, to facilitate more information about them being shared online, right? And so with that said, that's a good thing, because if we're living in a digital age and at this point you are not digitized, then there's a problem, right? And so, with you having that realization for your brick and mortar business and stuff, fine, it's time to get digitized and stuff. So that includes like your website, includes branding efforts and stuff, and it includes, you really beefing up your customer experience, because of course, people interact with businesses on social media and digital media on a whole, all of these Google reviews and the most, right? So it really sees you make a more concerted effort to make yourself available and present in the digital space. However, it still means though that the majority of your operations are offline, right? So it means that you're therefore using digital as your communication channel versus your home for your overall operations and marketing, right? And so with that said, cool, we understand that, we get that, right? So with that said, no, a reality that you end up running into some challenges as a brick and mortar business who is digitizing or digitized, right? So some of these challenges include, really trying to build like a seamless brand experience, right? And when I say a seamless brand experience, what the persons are experiencing offline, are they going to experience it online, and vice versa? Because you have so many brick and mortar businesses at this point where, they are really strong contenders offline. You see them showing up in those supermarkets. You see them showing up, with those cool promotions, cars driving around fully wrapped and all these things and whatever. But then when you're online or whatever, like, can you actually hear from them when you reach out to their page? Do you see their brand colors like really popping? Do you get the same voice and tone and vibe from the brand online versus like the vibe that you get offline? You get what I'm saying? So there's an interesting challenge that many brick and mortar businesses jump into when they are, when they are getting digitized and stuff, and really seek to bridge that gap between online and offline brand efforts, right? Then of course that jumps right into that interesting challenge in terms of beefing up your customer experience. Now, if somebody, it's not only in the sense of how you talk to your clients, it's also how you go towards customer resolution or problem resolution. If it is that somebody online reaches out to your business and say, hey, well, I was having this challenge and da 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 da, and maybe the person, the social media manager or whoever is assigned to the page, responds and stuff. How long does it take to resolve that complaint? Versus somebody who comes into your business and in person and stuff, and then you have the team right there who you can just refer the issue to, and then maybe it takes a little less time or a lot less time to get it done. You get me? So in terms of even the customer experience, not only just with the fandangos like the music and the promotions, but hey, but also in terms of problem resolution, and solving these issues, these very real issues that persons run into, whether they are reaching out to you on digital or it's in person and stuff, right? So you as a business, as a brick and mortar business, you're definitely you're definitely going to need to work on making sure that you're just doing your very best to beef up some systems to allow for a seamless resolution of those challenges, or else you're going to have issues. We've seen it time and time again. Persons who go into banks, persons who go into fast food restaurants and all of that, tend to actually, find they have their issue in person and stuff like that, and then they run into a full stop and stuff, based on whatever red tape. But by the time they reach on social media and make a complaint, it's dealt with instantly, right? So there you see the flip side of that, where it gets resolved in a faster way digitally, but then in person, it's not taken care of. So either way, from both ends and whatever, you see where there's a discrepancy. You get me? And so that is a problem, right? That is a problem, and that literally helps to make or break your brand, right? So as a brick and mortar business, meaning at least 90% of your operations are, offline, but you use digital as, the communication channels, i.e. you are therefore digitized, make sure that you're bridging that gap. Because if you're putting out all of this effort, if you're putting out all of this money to get your brand out there, and you're not even beefing up your customer experience, fam, let's talk about it. Right? But then so beyond those two challenges in terms of like the brand cohesiveness and also the customer experience cohesiveness and getting rid of that disjointed vibe, there's also the fact that for many brick and mortar businesses, I find that they see digital as an additional burden versus something that's intrinsic to the way their business is supposed to, be enhanced and operate and all of that, right? And so because they see it as something additional and, therefore burdensome and stuff, they don't pay as much attention to it as, we would expect and we would like, And so therefore a lot of businesses end up actually suffering because of that. So it means that they just fling up any old thing on their Facebook page or their Instagram page or whatever. They just get on as many platforms as possible because they feel like that is what reach is, and people should just be able to see them. But what is the purpose behind every step that you're making on digital? Think about it. Think about it, you know? So a reality is that because you're seeing it as an extra burden out of, well, you're at least trying to do the bare minimum to make sure that your brand is there, but is it functional? Is it actually helping your brand? Or if it's not helping it, then it's hurting your brand. Think about it. You get what I'm saying? So I really want to say that, especially if you are running a digitized business, and you're saying, all right, cool, you feel good that you're on multiple platforms and stuff like that. Really think about your intentions behind everything. Really think about the efforts that you're gonna make behind everything and stuff, so that you can properly represent, your brand and your overall business online, in the same way that it is represented offline, right? I mean, in some ways, I'm kind of scared to say in the same way, because there's still some businesses and brands that need help offline, but I digress. But then that actually brings me to my next point now. So it's one thing to get on the platforms and start taking digital seriously and stuff like, and a lot of businesses I find have the best intentions to do that, right? Hey, however, fine. So efforts are made to get a nice, decent website up, to get like a nice Instagram presence and all of these things. But then what about the maintenance? Are you going to switch around some of your team members to then be able to help you to maintain that presence that you are going after? Think about it. Because if you're not, fam, then it will still mean that you're ending up back in the same trap of, your presence not being maintained and not looking purposeful, and therefore hurting your brand eventually. And so people, when they're trying to do their Google searches or their Instagram or Facebook searches and whatever, then they're not finding anything cohesive, and so therefore it will automatically look like you're not taking your business or your brand seriously. And that literally leaves a bad taste in the mouth of many people, who want to do business with you, but recognize that, hey, if you don't take your business seriously, then how are you going to take them seriously? It's a thing, so that's why, funny enough, a lot of people say that Google reviews are so important. Amazon reviews, think of how you use Amazon. How many people use Amazon where before you buy a product, you look at the reviews and stuff. You get what I'm saying? So if somebody happens to get on your page and they're not even finding the type of information that they need, and they happen to leave like a bad review or anything like that, then that speaks for your business, versus people being able to have a direct, a direct cross referencing, because, all right, fine, the review is there, but then you have this ongoing digital presence, because of your digitization efforts, So really think about, how you want your business's digitization efforts to really come together, and all of that, so, and make sure that, of course, there's no disjointedness for that. So again, just to kind of go back over everything in terms of digitization, a digitized business is really a brick and mortar business that has decided to use digital as a communication channel to facilitate brand interactions, to facilitate promotions and all of that, and facilitate client or customer management, in the sense of allowing for customer complaints or commendations and all of that to come through, and then literally be another means of problem resolution, right? But at the end of the day, at least 90% of their operations are still offline, right? Cool. So on the flip side, guys, so what is an online business? So an online business, I dare say, is the direct opposite of, it's just a more advanced version of a digitized business, where the operations, at least 90% of the operations, if not 100%, are online, right? And the reason I say 90% versus 100% is because 90% can leave room for, like if you have product deliveries that are offline, clearly, and other aspects about delivery that have to be offline, right? So for instance, if you're a coach and stuff, maybe you have an option where people can meet with you via Zoom or whatever online platform and stuff, but then you also have an option to allow a person to meet with you in person. Then that means that not every single thing is being done online, right? So yeah, there's that little in between right there. But at the end of the day, the majority of operations, and all of the marketing, all of the or the majority of marketing again, is literally done online. And again, I say majority because, for instance, if you are somebody who happens to, hey, it's, for instance, if you are somebody who happens to take part, thanks, hon. If you are somebody who happens to take part in live events or seminars a lot, or things like that, then I mean that is actually a marketing tool, that happens to be offline, and it's something that is very purposeful. You get what I'm saying? So it means that it's a part of your marketing strategy and your brand awareness strategy, right? And so with that said, yeah, so I'm just trying to give, different scenarios to help you recognize, the general difference between the digitized business versus the online business. So with that said, no, so with online businesses, I find that persons have a really common misconception where they feel that, online businesses are easier to run. Let's just start that again. They feel that online businesses are just easier to run than real businesses. And when I say real, people mean brick and mortar businesses. Let me tell you, if someone is really building their online, thanks. If somebody is really building their online business properly, it's a real business, because an online business, you still need to pay your taxes. You still need to have contracts. You still need to have invoices that make sense. You still need to, I mean, if you choose to go that route, you'll still be running a team that has very real jobs, very real tasks and all those things. You get what I'm saying? So for me, that misconception that digital businesses are just not real, or just you just run them in your sleep. Let's just calm down. Because yeah, digital businesses are very real, especially based on the digital model, or the business model rather. So what I would say though is that online businesses allow for a lot more flexibility and a lot more freedom-based structuring, that I personally love, So even with that, it makes it easier to have multiple businesses, because you feel more in control of your time and your movements and all of that, because technically you don't need to leave your house for most of them. You get me? So a reality though is that so you tend to run into the same challenges in terms of, or same needs in terms of building out your brand, building out a proper customer experience, a proper customer experience, systems, automation, and all of that, right? But at the same time, because you have so many tools that can be integrated and stuff, it's easier to get your hands on a lot of those tools. But how do you integrate these things? How do you figure out which tool is right for your specific business, for your specific business model, and all of that? Think about it. You get me? So with ease, quote unquote, comes a whole new set of responsibilities. Because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that your business is running in a way where you can still stay sane. Yeah. And in you staying sane, it just means that yeah, you pay more attention to just how you're building things out. Now when I say how you're building things out, how I normally help my clients is that I take them through 5 key systems that need to be in place for your business. So so your client experience system, your marketing system, your sales system, your admin / logistics system, and your overall business management system. I mean, of course I can't get into all of that right now, but I'm saying that to say, I help them to break it down consistently and in a way that makes sense, so that if something goes out of whack tomorrow, they're on it, they're in tune with it and whatever. And that's the type of handle you want to have on your business when you're building something that's online, especially if you want to expand into having more businesses. So for instance, personally, I have 4 businesses. If I literally did not put some things in place and whatever, then how could I be running 4 businesses that literally need attention to detail and attention to, you get what I'm saying? So a reality is that we need to recognize just how much having that an online business ends up allowing you to have more access to things that can help you to run these businesses, but it's not necessarily easier. Now, speaking of that, for the fact that you have an online business, I find that there's even more of an importance to have cohesive branding, in relation to, how people experience you in the digital space. I always say this, that, experiencing, businesses in the digital space goes beyond social media, right? And we've seen it last year where, even Instagram like went down and all these things. We're seeing just how much persons are actually starting to dislike social media because of just how controlled they have felt. Hey, how controlled they have felt in terms of, social media. Like, people make decisions, life-changing decisions based on social media these days. Relationships are no longer the same because of social media, all of these things, right? And so a reality is that, people tend, like, when they hear digital, people tend to people tend to just feel that, digital just means social media. But guess what? You can actually run a successful online business void of social media. Funny, right? But it is always recommended that you leverage every single platform that you have the ability to, right? So even though you can run a successful online business like without social media and stuff, it's still not recommended for you to leave social media out, right? So that is why, funny enough, there are persons who are thriving in business right now who only have one social media platform, like, and especially Instagram. And there are some persons who only have TikTok, straight up. You get what I'm saying? Because they have gone over to YouTube, which is, of course, long form, video content and everything. And YouTube, I mean, has been like the, king of the game for years. You get what I'm saying? And then also in terms of even blogging. So funny enough, blogging has not died. Think of it this way. Like, so in terms of even Facebook, as much as Facebook serves a specific generation or age group and stuff like that, Facebook is still heavily used. And it's similar to blogging. People actually like read a lot of the long form posts and stuff. So blogging, a lot of the brands have found that blogging allows for their brand to be searched or found based on search engine optimization. And of course, you can see exactly what is happening or what that brand says about the specific topic, right? And so, yeah, blogging, there are still a lot of amazing blogs out there that are making people money. Also, I mean, of course, your website. I always say to my clients, your website is your hub. Like, I mean, you'll always hear people say, oh, you don't need a website. You don't need... Listen, your website ends up being that sales engine that sells on your behalf while you're sleeping. You get me? Yes, I know about landing pages and stuff, but of course, I believe in those being for more short-term types of marketing campaigns, right? So they're not wrong. They're not bad. But your website ends up being your hub, so you can house every single thing that's in relation to your brand on your website, right? So for me, just go with a website and, build a sales page on the website and you're good. So it's like a one-stop shop, right? So yeah, so even thinking about that, so your blog can be on your website too, by the way. I'm just reminding you. Thanks for the love, guys. My word, I could... Listen, I understand in terms of going MIA on. Listen, I mean, I've always loved IG and stuff, but sometimes too, it just feels like it's just so much more difficult at different points to move forward on Instagram or whatever. Like if you miss a day or if you miss a week or whatever. So when I think about it, sometimes like for persons who are not in tune with consistent strategy and all those things, like how are they really managing? You get what I'm saying? So even when I start working with clients, I'm really excited to empower them to, figure out strategies that they can work with on their own time and still get, results from that. And when I say results, I'm not even just talking about likes and follows. I'm talking about persons who are ready to invest because, of course, let's face it, we're online businesses. We're on here to make money. Let's get that done, So I get you. But it's good. I believe in just making sure that we're building strategies that don't necessarily have to just focus on Instagram or whatever for this very same reason. I remember one of my clients last year as well. I was like, yo, if you don't want to be on Instagram, cool, do your thing. If you want to focus more on your business, do your thing. She did that and she spent some more time on LinkedIn as well or whatever. Listen, the girl is booked out. The lady is booked out for the next year. You get me? Because we said, all right, cool, let's establish exactly where you feel more comfortable and all of that, you know? And yeah, she was able to operate where she felt more comfortable and felt good talking business to business, you know, versus having to build out the full personal brand and all that. But I digress. But saying that to say, trust me, I get it. And just remember, there is definitely a way around all of that. So don't ever feel like you fully have to be boxed in fully to Instagram, even though I still have love for Instagram, but I still do understand that, you know, there's a lot happening there. Right? But yeah, so saying that to say again, so you have your YouTube, you have your blog, you have your website, right? Then of course, email marketing, which is highly underrated. And I mean, digital dominated laugh, like I'll be straight up with y'all. Like I want us to be as comfortable as possible so that we can really talk about, you know, some of the nitty gritty things about making it in digital, right? A reality is that for the first year of my business, like my full-time business, venture and stuff, I just put email marketing to the back because I'm like, yo, let's just, I don't have time feeling like I'm intruding on anybody's inbox. I don't have time feeling like, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to feel like, you know, persons wanted to, you know, always just not open my emails or, oh, her again or whatever. But let me tell you this. Email marketing has this unique type of power where they don't necessarily have to seek you out. They literally can just click a button because you're already in their space, right? And they can feel empowered to take in your content on their own terms and on their own time, right? And so because of that, you find that a lot more high ticket decisions or high ticket investments are made by virtue of persons taking in your emails, right? And I personally, you know, after I got over my my fears and all of that, I personally saw that that difference, and I also heard about the difference as well. You know, so I know that it's definitely a foolproof thing. I know that it definitely works and stuff, right? So I'm saying that to say, when you have social media with all the 50 million platforms, and then also the other digital space that actually is really sustainable and really here to stay, like again, your YouTube, your website, your email marketing aspects, as well as a blog, and you know, those kinds of things, then hey, you get what I'm saying? So with that said, wow, this went left, but those things still needed to be said, right? But saying that to say, so bringing everything a little more back to, you know, center, an online business has that much more need to build out a cohesive brand across platforms, right? And I'm not gonna ever lie to you and tell you that, you know, oh, you know, that's just a snap of the finger and like, you know, Nah. What I'll say to you is that it takes that much longer, you know, for a digitized business to, you know, get the cohesive branding versus an online business, because of course most of your aspects of your business, you know, whether the marketing as well as the operations or whatever, everything's already online. So, you know, you already can start making sure everything feels more glued together in terms of full-on representation, right? So even with that, then, you know, even in terms of customer experience or client experience, whether, you know, this person do you want to check on in terms of, you know, converting them from cold leads to warm leads to hot leads and whatever. So that's lead management and stuff. Or persons who, you know, maybe buy a course from you or something like that. It's literally that much easier for an online business. However, you know, it's still a little more intricate and whatever, because you want to make sure that everything is seamless, everything is convenient and doesn't, you know, it's not unaligned, if you get what I'm saying, right? So it's easier in terms of your access to the things that can help it be smoother for your clients and persons who are interested in becoming clients, but it takes a little more time in terms of setting things up, right? And when I speak about setting things up, even with that, guys, so funny enough, that's actually part of the reason I'm coming with my new offer, and I'm going to start talking about it tomorrow. It's called the Bold Experience. Y'all hearing about it first. So the Bold Experience is actually me working with you to literally help you to program these things so that everything works cohesively. So we're focusing on, I mean, I actually really love how everything came together. So bold is also an acronym, right? So B stands for business and brand, O stands for your offer, L stands for logistics, and D stands for your digital strategy. So literally every single thing works in tandem to make sure that you are definitely getting into like literally positioning your online business for success and for a heightened customer experience and a heightened sense of systemization and you being able to be sane. Right? And then of course topping everything off with the digital strategy that's uniquely you, like what I was saying earlier. Like if it is that your business is a product-based business versus a service-based business and stuff like that, like what type of products are you selling? Like how can we make sure that you are pushing your business forward and making sure that persons are seeing your brand? Hey, so I mean, meet me in the DM, send me a direct message and we can talk more about how I can serve you. All right. But yeah, man, like I'd really feel good about serving you in that regard. Because yeah, man, I was looking around the scope of things and I'm like, yo, there's so many persons who find they want to be coached, yes, but there are so many other persons who really just want the setup to be done and it to be a holistic type of setup so that they can literally hit the ground running right after, right? And I want to empower more persons to be able to do that. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, so in terms of the cohesive branding and the cohesive client experience and all of that, hey, yeah, like it's different. It's a different kind of approach for the digitized business versus the online business. But guess what? It's the same goal. We want our customers to feel served. We want our brand to, person to be even more aware of our brand. We want our business to not drive us insane. Oh my God, and we want to be able to build like a freedom-based type of business, and we want people to be able to feel like they want to invest with us because they understand our journey, they understand our story, they understand like every single thing that we are putting out there and stuff. So with that said, when I think about juxtaposing the online business versus the digitized business, right? It makes you think, all right, cool. Do you want to really go with a full-fledged online business? Do you want to go with a full-fledged digitized business? Just kind of keep things kind of separate but still linked. So fine, you have most of your operations on in person and stuff. Invite people to your office. Invite meetups at whatever hotel and all these things. But still just market everything online. Do you want to do that? You get me? Because at the end of the day, there are some persons I find, especially through working with them, there are some persons who really want that face-to-face feel. There are some persons who really want to maintain that vibe where, hey, I am here in front of you, I can serve you in this way and stuff, and that just floats their boat. You get me? So then we would then work to build a type of digital strategy that facilitates that and showcases that and takes people through exactly how that would work out. You get what I'm saying? Versus an online business, do you want to be able to just do everything from the comfort of your home? Especially with what has been going on in the past 2 years, right? Like maybe like right now that's your vibe, and you found that out through this going on. You get what I'm saying? And so with that said, how do you build this out in a way that definitely feels good for you, but also allows people to feel served? And I say that is systemization and automation and making sure that your brand is nicely interwoven with all of those different aspects and stuff, And so, yeah, so I really want you guys, if you don't leave with anything else, I really want you guys to recognize the difference between the two types of businesses. And then decide on what you are going to pursue. Because when you decide on what you are going to pursue, hey, I'm happy you agree. When you decide on what you want to pursue, that is how you then figure out exactly how you want to show up on digital. And when I say how you want to show up on digital, do you want to be sitting every day, doing your stories, doing those cute, reels and vlogs and all them thing there? Or do you want to, be sharing content and stuff, content that's, perspective shifting, educational and all of that, so that people understand your authority in the industry and your credibility and stuff, and then want to journey with you offline? You get what I'm saying? Like, how do you want to move forward? Right, so I'd really love to actually hear from you guys, in terms of yeah, what you wanna share. Let me check something out over here. I've just been talking in terms of, and not even like fully paying attention to all of the comments. But yeah, and of course my Instagram family, let me know if you have any comments that you want to share, or questions that you want to share in relation to this. And do you have any questions? Do you want me to go back over the difference between your digitized business versus your online business, and like how that can work out for you in terms of you planning your way forward? I'd love to know what you're thinking. Right. Alrighty. Let me know. Alrighty, so I'm not seeing any questions and I'm not seeing any more comments and stuff. So what I'm gonna do is, since especially today is the introductory day of the Digital Dominator Loft and stuff, let me just reiterate just how excited I am to just be able to share with you guys in this space, to be able to take you guys through some really key topics and thoughts that a lot of persons have had, but they haven't necessarily been voiced, and I really want it to be that we're thinking about these types of things as we're moving forward in the digital space, so that we can do our very best to dominate digital. Sometimes we're not able to fully dominate digital because we're not going through some of the nitty gritty. We're just staying on the surface, oh, make money online, or oh, let's create a course, or oh, you get what I'm saying, versus like going even deeper and saying, all right, cool, why am I creating a course? Why am I settling with this way of making money online? Why am I not creating more income streams for myself? You get what I'm saying? So saying that to say, join me here every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. EST. So we're going to be going through the topics more and more. And, if you also have any topics that you want to suggest, of course, drop them below. And then, of course, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that, because, I'd love to hear from you guys, definitely. All right. So with that said, guys, one more last plug. So as of tomorrow, I'm going to be talking to you about my new offer, my new signature offer called the Bold Experience. The Bold Experience is really near and dear to me. With that, I want to go beyond the border of, just coaching or providing, strategy just right there, but actually helping you to implement things that are literally going to help your business to move forward and help you to stand boldly in digital so that you can dominate digital. You get me? So with that said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. I'm not seeing any more comments, not seeing any more questions. And yeah, but I do thank all of you guys, whether you joined earlier, whether you're still on now, or you're watching the replay. I do thank you for watching this entire episode, right? So with that said, guys, take care, have a fabulous week, and I will see you right here next week, Sunday. Take care.